So, the last of the four barriers, as it were, monopolistic competition. So, what is monopolistic competition? We said it's like competition, but it's also like monopoly, but it's so. What is, first of all, we have a situation where there is a differentiated product. So, monopolistic competition is like a situation where each firm has a product which is unique to itself. Okay? But at the same time, there are, like perfect competition, many buyers and sellers, and everything else is like perfect competition. So, there is free entry and exit, and information, I do not know. I will put a question mark in front of information. So, the story is like this. So, this could be like your restaurants. There are lots of them. Each one is like has a slight market power, because it could be just because of location. Lots of grocery stores out there. If you really wanted to, you could just get out of IM and buy from outside. But it's convenient, so you buy from this guy. So, to some extent there is small degree of monopoly power, but there are lots of substitutes. So, it's like perfect competition. Perfect competition, the demand curve becomes flat, you become a price taker. Here the demand curve is very elastic, but not flat. So, the idea is, in monopolistic competition, the demand curve will be like this, flat, very strong, the elasticity of demand will be very high. Okay? But otherwise everything else looks like a monopoly. So, actually there is nothing to be done, in the sense how is a monopolistically competitive firm going to behave? With its very little monopoly power, it is still going to set marginal cost equal to marginal revenue, and then go up to the demand curve to set the price. You would also expect that the profits of a monopolistically competitive firm would be fairly small, because remember, price marginal cost, the ratio is 1 over the elasticity of demand. Since the elasticity of demand is fairly high, you would not likely to make much money. So, it is okay. So, what can happen in the short run? In the short run, it looks like a monopoly really, right? Nothing can happen. You can make profits, you can make losses, you may shut down, you may continue, everything is the same. So, the interesting issue about why competition, and why we talking about competition, what happens in the long run? Suppose firms are making profits or making losses, what will happen in the long run? Yeah, so unlike monopoly, now there is free entry and exit, firms are free to enter. So, consequently what will happen is new firms will enter, and then they will make all the profits disappear. That is the competition bit. So, in the short run you act like a monopoly, but in the long run you become like a competitive. So, that is why it is monopolistic competitive. So, what will things look like in the long run? So, what will happen is, as new firms enter, the demand should actually fall and the more substitutes, right. So, the demand curve will become even more flatter, and finally, and you must make 0 profits. So, here is your demand curve, here is your marginal revenue, DMR. Suppose this is MC. So, you would say choose this quantity and this price, but at this price, yeah, I think I have got it. Okay. So, at this price, the average cost curve would just touch the demand curve, so that the price will be equal to long run average cost. So, you will make 0 profits. The only other interesting thing is, the minimum point of the long run average cost curve is to the right of this point. So, we always say that in monopolistic competition there is excess capacity. You do not produce at the, unlike perfect competition, you do not produce at the minimum point. Okay. So, in that sense monopolistic competition is a little inefficient, not as inefficient obviously as a monopoly, but in terms of thinking about situations, actual businesses, monopolistic competition is a fairly, I think, accurate picture of a lot of particularly small businesses.